Hello and welcome to Kisa Design. Today we're gonna finish a watch for About Timepieces, a specialist for limited editions or unique pieces from independent watch brands. They are based in Scotland, so if you're from the UK, you should definitely check them out. Most of the parts have already been manufactured. All that's left to do is to polish the screws for the rotor. Black polishing screws or screw heads is actually a very old technique. There's a lot of mystery around it, and I think everyone does it a little bit differently actually. And I'm going to show you what it used to be done with and how we do it now. What screw heads used to be polished with was a tin disc or a tin plate like this and some diamond paste. And you would put some of the diamond paste onto the tin, then add some water, some spirit, some oil, or whatever you thought was best. And you mix it up so it was a little polishing paste, and then you would slide the screw head on top of the plate. What you also needed for that was a holder where you can put in the screws and make sure that the screw heads are absolutely even and that you run over the surface of the tin plate very, very evenly. This is the traditional way of doing it, but as I said, there are many ways to achieve a mirror finish on a screw head. We used to do things a little differently here at Kisa Design, and how we actually polish screw heads by hand, Carolyn the goldsmith will show you now. The screws we use for the rotor are truly tiny. The thread is only 1 millimeter in size. First thing Carolyn needs to do is bring the screws to the exact length. She uses a little holder. The screws protrude through the metal strip by exactly the amount by which they must be shortened. She places the holder on top of a piece of sanding paper and sands the screws down until they are flush with the plate. Once the screws have the right length, they are taken out of the metal strip and placed in a more advanced jig. It's very old, a lot older than me probably, and sometimes I wonder how many watch parts might have already been polished with that jig. With this beautiful brass contraption, you can level out the screw heads perfectly. I said we don't use the traditional method with the tin disc earlier. We use lapping films instead. They are basically super fine sanding paper and they come in a variety of grids. We usually use them from 40 microns, which is rather coarse, down to 0.25 microns. That's 25/100,000th of a millimeter. Carolyn starts with a high grid and slowly works her way down. Thereby, she smoothes the surface of the screw heads more and more. She needs to blow off the abrasion very carefully when changing films because she could easily contaminate the finer film with particles from the one before. That will lead to scratches and then you have to start all over again. This contamination issue is even bigger when you use tin because abrasive particles get embedded in the soft metal very easily. So that's one of the reasons we don't use that method. The result of her effort is checked over and over again under the microscope. Her experience will tell her when to move on to a finer film. It's a delicate task that requires a lot of patience and sensitivity. You can actually feel and hear when something isn't quite right. And believe me, things can turn from rather nice to very ugly within one stroke of a hand. Now all the watch parts are manufactured, the screws for the rotor have a nice black polish. We can finally start putting together the watch. As I've already told you in a previous video, the rotor is one of my favorite parts of the watch. It's designed to be significantly lighter, yet just as functional as the original rotor. The main part is radically skeletonized so that the beautifully decorated movement underneath isn't covered up and you can enjoy the looks of it all the time. The whole rotor is manufactured in-house and that involves a lot of steps. The skeletonized titanium carrier is milled, meticulously finished by hand and anodized. The engraving is done on the CNC. The goldsmith Carolyn files and grinds them to shape by hand. She also drills and taps the holes for the screws. If you want to learn more about the whole concept behind the rotor, you can click the link in the top right where I explain the details behind it. The watch Gavin configured is mostly purple. He really likes the vibrant colors Kisa Design offers with all the anodized titanium parts, but the purple dial is contrasted by a black DLC coated case, which makes it look super classy. The watch for About Timepieces is ready now, and I think it looks absolutely stunning. I particularly like the logo on the crown, which adds a subtle detail to the watch that makes it really special. I'm gonna put it in the box now and ship it to Scotland, and I'm really looking forward to Gavin's reaction. I'm pretty sure he will love it. That's it for today. If you wanna see how I make another custom watch, then you can click here and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.